Synchro Turbo strategies is something that we've kind of seen in the background of a lot of tournament settings here. And they can come in, you know, to the tier 1.5 category and shake up a lot of things here. But we actually have a deck that took down a double header of Sword Soul for you guys, which I'm not going to lie is very impressive, along with some other top deck profiles, including, not limited to, Yield Machina. Let's dig onto this, shall we? Alright, the first list we have here is that Synchro pile of cards that I talked about here at the beginning. And, you know, going 5-0 and going undefeated with a strategy like this, in my opinion, is very impressive. You don't get the chance to see a lot of, I would say, cool big combo decks like this really performing up to the standard here. I mean, besides base being like the crazy innovator of this format here. To see something like this do very well, I'm very genuinely surprised about. So, we have triple copies of the Caligo Clawcrow. I mean, hey, if you control a Dark Monster, free level 2 extendee onto the field. Alright? Speaking of Dark Monsters, you control Doppel Warrior. We already know how good self-replacement effects here are. You gotta love Yield token generation. Speaking of extenders onto the field, Juster Confit, of course. So, what? All your super low levels here. Then, of course, we have triple Junk Converter. Now, discarding this and what tuner monster to add a Synchron monster from deck to your hand. I wonder what Synchron monster we're going to add. Oh, it may be Junk Synchron, the best card that we really have going for us. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Junk Synchron is the go-to card for this because it starts Junk Speeder combo, which you already know if your opponent doesn't have a hand trap for this. Good times. You're winning. We have triple Space Rock. We have triple copies of Stardust Synchron. We have 2 copies of the Escantor Dawnwalker. 1 copy of the Fire Ant Escator. Then we have 1 Cybers Synchron, 1 Destrudo, 1 copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Bunny, 1 copy of Mermare, 1 copy of Psychic Ace. This card is in the Monster Zone, distributing, target 1, set card on the field and destroy it. Okay, well that's interesting. I guess this is also an E-Tully target, technically, so you can beam this on out as an additional body. Speaking of E-Tully targets, good old Recover. Oh man, I remember the days of using this to make Net Tree Beast. We have 1 copy of the Stardust Trail, 1 Synchron Carrier, triple copies of Emergency Teleport, triple copies of Forbidden Chalice. We have triple copies of Synchro Overtake, triple copies of Tuning, 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Foolish Barrel, 1 copy of course, the Magical Midfield Breaker. This is still going to be an important piece. Making sure that your stuff is unaffected, A-okay by me. We have 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Rhoda, and 1 copy of Stardust Illumination. Down in the extra deck, we have 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, 1 Crystal Wing Synchron Dragon, 1 Chaos Ruler, 1 Omega, 1 Yazi, 1 Dawn Dragster, 1 Stardust Charge, 1 copy Hyper Librarian. You're going to need this because this is going to be like your literal bookkeeping work. This just generates massive draw power for you. You just laugh at your opponent. We're actually playing 1 Junk Warrior. Oh boy. 1 Junk Speedy. Of course, 1 Axel Synchron. 1 Herald of the Arclight. 1 Cupid Pitch. 1 Martial Metal Marcher. And 1 Celestial Double Star Shaman. Side deck here we have triple Gamma. 1 Driver. Triple Cosmic Cyclone. 1 Harpies Feather Duster. Triple copies of Evenly Matched. Triple copies of Gravity Collapse. And 1 copy of Red Reboot here. Wrapping up Synchro Combo. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, I would give a deck like this a shot. We've seen plenty of Synchro Combo kind of tearing up and doing all sorts of cool things around all of these other events. And I know a lot of players are like, well, you know, like, I'm worried about my Junk Speeder having something happen to it. Yes, well, you know, a key hand trap ruins this deck's day. There is bound to be as many good good matchups as bad for this. All right, next up here is a Machina list. Now, Renmi sent this and to me on Discord and said, hey, Robbie, check this out. He's like, you know, I've been playing Machina for a little while. He's like, you're going to want to check this out. I was like, okay, so Mr. Ruin Force here is a heck of a card, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when you have a deck like this that actually is able to kind of generate advantage here and set up very, very big machine-based boards, I know. Really no pun intended there. But Ruin Force is just a 4600 monster that just kind of puts the opponent on tilt. So when you can use the rest of the Machina engine, you know, Citadel Interruptions and things like that to break these boards, I feel like you're in a very good position, right? So we have triple copies of Artifact Lancey. You got to have one of the best hand traps in the format here. Of course, 2 copies of Citadel. Don't you love having a quick effect to do board wipe shenanigans? All right, we have 1 Fortress, We have triple copies of Gear Frame. We have one Metal Cruncher, one copy of the Possessed Storage, one Ravager, one copy of Ruin Force, two copies of the Unclassed Spare. And then this is where we get a little bit spicy here. We're trying out a scrap package in this deck. So we're playing one Golem, two Recyclers here. That gives you a little bit, I would say a little more oomph for your combo line here, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I mean, Scrap Recycler getting to shuffle back two Earth Monsters. I mean, if you really want to go down that line, you can here to get a free draw, but it doesn't really come up all that much. But when Gear Frame is your best normal summon in the deck, okay? We have one Called by the Grave, one Arby's Feather Duster, triple copies of Machina Redeployment, triple copies of Pot of Extravagance, two copies of Urgent Schedule, two copies of Ice Dragon's Prison, triple copies of Infinite Permanence, two copies of Machina Overdrive, triple copies of Solemn Strike, and two copies of Torrential Tribute here, wrapping up the main deck. Down here in the next deck, we have two Scrap Wyverns, one Unicron, one Phoenix, one the double-headed Anger Knuckle, one D-Hark, one Apo, one Juggernaut Libby, one Gustav Max, one Dreadnought, triple Giganix, one Gagaga Cowboy, and one Zeus. Side deck here we have two Ogres, two Cosmics, triple copies of Dark Rule No More, two Twin Twisters, one Urgent Schedule, two Anti-Spell Fragrance, and triple copies of Dimensional Barrier here, wrapping up, yes, ladies and gentlemen, a normal summon the deck. Next up here is, yes, we actually have a Tri-Brigade list still floating around here. I've seen people kind of messing around with this strategy a little bit here. And, you know, the further we've gotten away from, you know, the list here, you know, you don't have to make F0 in this deck anymore. I think a lot more players are exploring a lot more options here. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a Cerberus in this deck. Free discard fodder. Huh, so it puts another body on the field. Oh, okay. So that's pretty cool. So we have two copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, one copy of DD Crow, one Barrel Canary, one copy of the Celestine Wagtail, two copies of Cobalt Sparrow, one copy of the Sapphire Swallow, triple copies of the Turquoise Wobbler, two copies of Nibiru. We have triple copies of Gamma, one copy of Cerberus, triple copies of Fractal, two copies of Karis, one copy of Kit, triple copies of Nerval, with one driver. Nothing, I mean, Gamma's still like the best hand trap this deck really has going for it, so you never really see much change out there. We also have one Called by the Grave, the one Tenki, the one Foolish Barrel, two copies of Forbidden Chalice, two copies of Forbidden Drop. I like the 2/2 here. This actually gives you a little bit more room to kind of bridge around and decide on how you want to break boards. We also have triple copies of Burke Call, one 1-for-1, triple Talents. Ah, man, Yield Talents is getting some love again. And only one copy of Revolt. I'm not sure how I feel about one Revolt, but it looks like it worked out here. We also have two copies of Shirag, one Rugal, one copy of Frigette, one copy of Bear Broom, one Almirage, the one Harvest Ginger, one Apo, one copy of the Double Dragon Lords, one Recital Starling with one Ensemble Blue, one Assembled Nightingale, one Downer Magician, and one Zeus with one Herald, actually. Side deck here we have triple Lancia, two copies of Cosmic Cyclone, two Mystic Mine, two copies of Twin Twister, triple Evenly Matched, two copies of Featherstorm, and one copy of Red Rebuto here, wrapping up a nice little bird list for you guys here. And the last list we have for you guys here is another take on Sky Striker with the Rite of Armesia package. I love getting the chance to see what players are coming up for with this, and I also found it very interesting that we're actually citing the Griffin Rider down here. Okay. So we have one copy of Artifact Lancia, two copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, one Celestial with one Dasher, one Effect Veiler, two copies of Ghost Ogre, triple Gamma with triple Ray. We also have one copy of Rose, two copies of Water Enchantress, one Driver. We have one Draco back, one Faithful Adventure, two Droplets, two copies of Fusion Destiny with one Harpy's Feather Duster, two copies of Bot of Prosperity, one Rhoda, two copies of Rite of Armesia. We also have one copy of Area Zero, one Afterburners with one Hornet Drones, one Shark Cannon, triple Widowinky, one Multi-Rule, one Engage, and one Terraforming. Down in the next deck, of course, we have one Zeke, two copies of Shizuku with one Kaina, two Kagaris, two Hayates with one Celine, one Verte, one Link Spider, one Dehark, one Hulk, one Axis Machine, and one copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Side deck here, we have one Scythe, one Griffin Rider, two copies of Cosmic Cyclone, one Lightning Storm, one Twin Twister, two Artifact Sanctum, two Solemn Judgment, triple copies of Summon Limit, and two copies of There Can Only Be One. Wrapping up, well, I think, a good chunk of interesting lists. That Synchro list is very, very saucy, and I think a lot of players here will honestly kind of agree with that, and quite possibly give it a shot. So guys, what do you think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button, so you guys don't miss out on more else content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.